Come on, load. Beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Scientist pig!
Uh-oh. Trouble.
Whoops.
This is why we have producers and not advertisers, because we can get in trouble. We got some interesting things coming out of Israel. You know, we've always looked at Israel and their advanced technology. People have talked about how Israel is sort of a Silicon Valley 2.0, and I think we're seeing more and more of it. This is from biometricupdate.com, and the headline here: feeling stressed? Trust us, you are. Pangea develops biometric psychophysiological analysis. Okay, so we should trust them. An Israeli digital ID software maker says it has acquired a sensor startup's assets, with which to build face biometric products capable of performing remote psychophysiological analysis of people.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, that
was always the problem, is to do psychophysiological analysis. They had to get up in your grill. They had to feel you up at the airport. They had to do all sorts of nasty things. Implant microchips now. Now they can just do it from afar.
Pangea IT, that's the name of the company, says it picked the assets of sensority, including liveness detection and visual stress analysis. Executives say they will incorporate the technology into their software as a service line. The technology, according to Pangea, can be used to spot psychological stress in real time when a person is asked questions of visual lie detector. The same system can identify a deepfake, the company says. The sensors and AI algorithms can monitor 100
That's interesting. What is a deepfake? Is a deepfake not able to make real human stress signals or something?
I don't know. Maybe it's not as detail. Accurate. Yeah. The sensors and AI algorithms can monitor 100 psychophysiological parameters and gauge stress. Although it is unclear what it can diagnose other than perhaps baseline stress, the company says its product has a diagnostic accuracy of 93.4%. It also is unclear how accuracy was judged. Okay. There's no description of how the technology works, though it sounds similar to biometric deepfake detection ideas involving the flush of blood across a person's face with each heartbeat. It is too subtle to be picked up by people, but high-quality cameras feeding into specialized algorithms are said to be able to spot deepfakes which do not have pulses. Oh, interesting. They're looking for the pulse. But, that's one thing that the deepfake can now do. They can just create pulses to make it look more real.
Well, it's the classic arms race between an attack and the defense manufacturers. So you've got the deep fakes getting better and better, and you've got the defenders getting, trying to keep up type of thing.
With the sensors, Pangea executives say they can detect people impersonating someone else and ID theft. They say their systems can be deployed for border control roles.
Oh, yes. It's all about control of the people, of course.
Yeah, never about
I think it's interesting the way that it's being, and the fact that it's Israel and they're focusing on border control is no surprise. It's interesting. They're kind of using the same types of rhetoric that flippy manufacturers will use, that robotics manufacturers will use, which is, we're here to just make sure nobody gets fooled by deep fakes, but also we can read your emotions and tell when you're stressed, and also protect your borders. So don't worry, citizens, just ignore the cameras on your street signs. Which,
by the way, we don't have the stories, but I think there was another something blew up in Palestine, maybe Gaza, I think it was. Another missile or something. So good timing with all of this. But that's not all.
They're going to war.
Yeah, you want to do this other one here?
Oh, we're all done with that one. Okay.
We'll just keep going because it's there's not. I mean, it's all kind of a package here.
We're just cruising. Yes, this one comes from Times of Israel. Israeli scientists developing, this is great, scientists developing precision viruses that kill bowel-harming bacteria. Oh, good. We need some precision viruses. Here, if you have a tummy ache, take some precision viruses. Israeli scientists are working to develop a precision weapon against bowel disorders consisting of viruses that fight bacteria. 2 different virus cocktails have undergone phase 1 clinical trials with initial results indicating that they are safe.
Oh, good.
Okay. Phase 1. Safe. The extensive in vitro and animal testing suggesting that they fight bacteria. I don't like the word suggesting in there. Suggesting that they fight bacteria. Peer-reviewed research published in the journal Cell states that the virus effectively reduced the count of Klebsiella pneumoniae, a bacteria that is found in large quantities in the guts of people with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Quote, to our knowledge, this constitutes the first silver bullet approach, promising a precise suppression of disease-causing gut microbes without harming the surrounding microbiome, said Professor Aran Elenav of Weizmann Institute of Science, who headed the research team. The idea of using viruses and medicines to fight bacteria, known as bacteriophages or phage therapy, isn't new and was intensely researched in the early 20th century. However, before any significant successes, antibiotics were invented and attempts at clinical uses of viruses were largely abandoned. Those scientists continued to use phages in laboratory settings. You know, the phages concept came back with a vengeance a few years ago.
Yeah.
They were even talking about these microphages or bacteriophages at some lectures in Burning Man. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, good. We got some little assassin viruses, precision viruses that will just go in and kill the bad stuff and leave the good stuff. This seems totally safe. What could possibly go wrong?
It will kill.
It's got an aspect to it. Similar to the necrobotics type thing, where, or maybe it's not the necrobotics. Oh man, wow! I just lost my train of thought so hard. Anyways, yeah. It's kind of like a little nanobot. Oh, that's what it was. You know, it's kind of like the idea that everybody's so excited about, that we can make nanobots to deliver medications in exactly the right spaces in your body, and they can cross the blood-brain barrier and help your brain work. But instead of nanobots sort of produced in a factory, they're viruses. And viruses are interesting. I guess that's what I mean. It is like a type of necrobotics. You're like using the bodies of a biological object to do something that you want robots to do.
Yeah, although I guess there's not like a direct, they're not using it like a puppet, are they? There's not like a robot arm that is, or a little nanobot
but
that's in there.
viruses aren't technically alive either. Yeah. So they are, it is a sort of zombie going in there and doing what they, the little bot would do. But perhaps they're not controlling it like a puppet, but they are creating it in a lab. I mean, they're building. It's like an autonomous necrobot. There we go. The little viruses are like an autonomous necrobot that certainly will not result in taking over people's brains and turning everybody into some sort of controlled ambling zombie.
Sure. Yeah. And part of Israel being ahead of this, Israel was also the place where they had the super surveillance launch.
Yes.
So,
right.
This is a good sort of, both ends. It's like, hey, we're going to do super surveillance, of course, for COVID, but, for other things too. And maybe people that are having issues, they can be called out and they can take the silver bullet to take care of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then the other, the facial recognition software will see that you are unhappy about the decision and blow you up.
Yeah. Well, for those who might be new to the show or haven't been around for too long, it's always valuable, specifically paying attention to the technology coming out of Israel.
Yeah.
Like specifically the tech sector. They've got a very robust tech sector. And if you kind of want to know what the next big thing in the world will be, you look at the Israeli tech sector. Yeah. This was true with spyware, with Pegasus, with the malware that's, stole all the information of Jeff Bezos and, some Saudi prince and stuff, as well as sewer surveillance was another one. But what was the other? There was one more that was just huge recently.
All the COVID vaccine stuff, the negative press on the vaccines came out of Israel. And remember Fauci and others saying like, well, we can't use Israel's data. So,
the Israeli data. Yeah. So, it's always interesting checking back in with the Israeli tech sector.
Yeah.